This is the
This is the show inside the show.
Keep going. So, no, it's okay. This is natural. This is what it's supposed to be. So,
Okay.
right now we're here with Sherrell Dorsey with 2Techies, and Sherrell is much more focused on her Instagram live shot than the actual 2 cameras that probably cost about
You gonna shade me
$4,000.
already? You gonna shade me already? Because I'm trying to prosper and flourish out here in these streets.
You know what? You're doing your thing, so
Thank
I'm going to
you.
support it. Otherwise, I would have told you to move the coffee and the camera because it's
All
just too
right.
much, but I love you. So, Sherrell, when did you fall in love with technology?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question. I'm gonna put my coffee here so that it's not a distraction.
That's fine.
Okay,
I
so
understand that.
I want to say I probably fell in love with technology when I got my first Game Boy. You remember the
Oh,
Game Boy
wow.
back in the
Yes.
day? And so it was like me and like my cousins and just my friends, like we all had these Game Boys. And I think just like gaming was that introduction. And then I was always super entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I used to teach like private tap classes and stuff like that. And so I don't know if you remember the Avery business card labels.
Yeah.
They were like perforated sheets. So I would get on my computer and like it was at the time like as soon as AOL started sending out the CD-ROM and discs, so I would
Right.
go online and I'd figure out how to like make my own business cards, my own flyers, like I would promote my business. And so it was such an easy way for me to like market. Like I was doing marketing before I knew what it was.
Okay.
And I would just
Natural
use,
ambition.
and then I would just like use up all the ink in the house and get yelled at because I had like 80 different kind of businesses. I'm selling jewelry, I'm like teaching tap
Doing
classes.
everything but
I'm
what
doing
you should be
everything.
doing.
Exactly.
All right. So I know what you do, but a lot of
Yeah.
people out there may not know what you do. So why don't you tell us what exactly do you do in tech and innovation?
Absolutely. So the first thing is that I am the founder of The Plug, which is a daily tech newsletter that is focused on highlighting diverse voices in tech.
Right.
So that comes out Monday through Friday in your inbox by 10 a.m. every single day. We have an amazing editor, Tyler Young, who helps us to curate those top 5 news stories. It's so for the last year, we've just been growing that particular brand.
Okay.
And prior to that, and the way that the impetus behind The Plug has been that I've been writing on tech, innovation, social impact for the last 3.5 years,
Oh.
contributing to publications like Fast Company, Next City, The Atlantic's City Lab, and what have you.
Yeah, I remember some of your stories with Fast
Yeah.
Company. I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, and so my goal in doing that was I didn't see enough of people that look like us being highlighted in the news or being highlighted in their stories and what they were doing
Right.
in cities like Miami or like Charlotte or what have you. And so I took it upon myself to start writing about those individuals I was coming across. I was born and raised in Seattle, grew up around a ton of software engineers, worked at Microsoft in high school, learned how to code when I was 14. And so I was like, I know who these people are. I see them every day in my everyday life. Why are we not seeing them, talked about? Why aren't we talking about their companies
Different
on a
level of
larger scale?
engagement, yeah.
Exactly. So that was kind of the precursor to then building The Plug as a way to say, hey, like we need to get more voices, in the news, and more practitioners being featured outside of the Mark Zuckerbergs,
Right.
outside of the Elon Musks or what have you.
I got you. All right. So craft beer, craft cocktail.
Craft cocktail. I'm not a beer person.
What's the cocktail? What are you drinking?
Gosh, that's such a good question. So in Charlotte, there's this guy named Bob Peters. He is like the top mixologist in the whole country.
Bob Peters.
Yes, and he makes these like old school 19 something drinks, and he has the history and everything. But let me tell you, I'm very simple when it comes to my cocktails.
Okay.
Give me like a Patron and ginger ale and lime, and I'm good to go.
You know what? Tequila and ginger ale is really good. It's a slept-on drink. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got
You see what I'm saying?
All right. If your business life was based on a movie or a TV show, what would we be watching right
Oh
now?
my gosh, that's such a great question. Oh my gosh, I have to answer like thoughtfully and reflectively because everyone's
No,
gonna
you
judge me.
gotta answer authentically.
Wait.
It's already live and we're
Oh
recording.
my
You
gosh,
gotta be
everyone
honest.
is gonna judge me. Okay, so I would say it would be totally like Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
Okay.
like just strategic. I'd have an awesome crew of like these funny characters.
I was about to
who
say
are
the
just
first thing I
brilliant.
thought was
What?
the brilliant sarcasm.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. It's like, I feel like I surround myself with these incredible, like funny, talented folks.
Right.
Who are just like enjoying life and creating incredible things and living the life they want to live. And I feel like that completely describes like the Ocean characters.
Got you. I agree with that. I love that.
That was a great question. I'm gonna use that.
That's fine. Long as y'all know she took it from me, long as everybody know that's what, I'm doing both on here, live and everything. Yeah. So I would say then, okay, what do you feel are some of the biggest challenges and struggles that you're currently dealing with?
As a founder, it's just like in my personal life.
Founder.
Like, okay.
I won't get into your personal life.
I
We'll
don't
change
wanna
that for
talk about
another
Sally
show.
Mae. I'm like, Sally Mae comes for me every month. No, I will say as a founder, particularly as a founder of color, particularly as a woman of color, just having to constantly prove my competence and credibility. So I've decided not to go the outside investor route in building my business. So the plug is completely bootstrapped, and we've gracefully gotten some programming dollars from the Knight Foundation. We've partnered with the Carolina Small Business Development Fund to help roll out some programming in Charlotte, where I'm based.
And you're going to start distributing the content of Digital Grass TV and 2Techies, right?
I guess so.
Yeah,
Word for 2017. Just
behind
plug
the
it
deal,
in
y'all.
there.
This is how you know.
Just plug it in there.
All right.
But the goal is really just the monetization, and that really comes with having great relationships with great brands, and ensuring that like our folks feel like what they're getting is of value. And I think demonstrating the value of a Black-owned tech company and a Black-owned tech company that's trying to focus on supporting, founders and practitioners of color sometimes does not come across as a serious business or a serious model or a serious narrative. And so people kind of see it as like, oh, this is this great diversity initiative versus this is the future. And if we do not capitalize this right now, we're going to miss out.
Yeah, but the story needs to be told. If we don't tell the story, they don't know. So
Exactly.
storytelling that's why we got into it more so. Storytelling is a major part, and we do marketing and design, so this was a way for us to take it and translate it into another medium.
Absolutely, and I think that people should support that content. You kind of see these platforms that are being funded with sometimes one major funders. Like, I'm going to underwrite this entire project,
right?
And I don't necessarily see people, knocking down the door and saying, "I see the value in this. I want to support it. I want to see it grow."
You got to make it on your own.
Yeah, and so I think that just to Travian's point earlier in one of the first talks this morning, he just said we got to do twice as much with half as much, and that's extremely true. I found in building my business.
So I was just going to say, if you had to think of some of your benchmarks or one benchmark in your journey of your career, what would be one of the things that stands out the most? I
think it's really landing that kind of first client.
Okay.
That first client that's willing to write even just a 5-figure check, and you kind of realize like, okay, I got something here, and once that first person does, then you kind of see the momentum build with those other folks coming on board. But again, like I said, I think that it helps to build credibility, and in those partnerships and the strategy behind who you partner with is definitely critical to that growth.
So I'm going to say 2 words, and when you hear the words, I just want to know your immediate reaction and feelings and emotion towards it, okay?
This is a lot. Okay.
Diversity, inclusion.
Okay, sorry. I know this is supposed to be like rapid fire, right?
It doesn't have to be right. It's supposed to be true and authentic.
Okay. So diversity and inclusion, distracting.
That's a new one.
Yeah. I'm sure.
That's a new one. All right. I already understand it.
Okay.
And I understand why you won't want to go more into it.
That's fine.
We'll save that for the other. Yeah, we'll move on.
Okay.
That's a very good one though. So next part will be, somebody tells you we need a plan to fix diversity and inclusion in technology, but your plan has to come in no more than 3 to 4 sentences. Describe that plan.
Fund founders of color.
Okay.
That was 4. Was those 4 words?
No,
Founders
it could be
of color?
sentences.
Can articles
You
be?
can say more.
Okay.
But if that's your plan.
just fund founders of color.
We've said that, and I'm glad somebody else is thinking that too.
Oh, good. We're on the same page.
All right. So the world is yours. You get to choose one mentor that would invest in you for a year. Time, money, accessibility, not the assistant's phone number, direct line to them.
That's such
Who
a
are you
great
working
question.
with for a year?
Oh my gosh, that is such a brilliant question. God, that's a great question. I have to be careful how I answer this. So much subtext. To be completely honest with you, that kind of dream mentor for me would be Elon Musk.
Okay.
It just totally would be. I think that for someone to kind of create and step into spaces that
I was about to say, is that the
innovate.
brilliance of him pushing it to the next level? Is that why
Pushing to the next level and just like literally saying like, hey, these are the 3 or 4 things that that are going to define the world, and then going and creating like entire markets. Like clearly he's a polymath, right? Like we know that he can read a book on rocket science and then become a rocket scientist. And so I think that just the fact that like he also is able to apply a business concept that is also scalable, and I think someone who is also kind of struggled with fighting, culture, and trying to like change models, from PayPal to creating
the original PayPal Mafia boys.
Right. Or just even creating a system where you say like, oh, the experience of having to go to a dealership to, buy a car is oppressive, right? It's like, I don't own a car, like I'm all about, Ubering around and what have you. And now that I'm in the process of buying a car, it's like there's a lot of anxiety of
you're on the wait list for the Tesla, right?
Yes.
I remember when you signed up in your journey, I remember you posting everything. Yeah, I remember that.
But just the fact that I can actually order a car, it can become delivered to my house, and I don't have to worry about all of the other like changes I have to go through in order to get a car. And just the fact that, again, like I think people who are in the media for kind of fighting status quo, and helping to change laws as a result, and making the world think differently about how we consume, how we use, what good design looks like, what affordability looks like, what luxury looks like, that exists outside of things, and much more like thoughts and systems and efficiency. I would love to kind of just sit inside of his brain, like, and just like figure out like what's going on in there.
It would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy one. It's going to be used, but it's a lot of them down here that are used. That's
perfect.
Yeah.
See? All right.
So there's always a soundtrack to your life.
Okay.
So if I walked up to you right now, took headphones, and I could plug into you, what song am I hearing, or what album am I listening to?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this, my response is going to be unexpected. It's going to be Cardi B's. No one ever expects this from me. My special projects manager was like, I did not know you listened to Cardi B. I was like, yes, Cardi B's Gangster B Volume 2 album was dropped.
I'm glad this is live. I gotta edit all that out. We're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to say
great.
Common B or something.
No, you said authentic.
No, it is. That's very.
It is not any like neo soul. Nothing.
I've never heard nobody say that as a response. I don't even know what I'm listening to. So everything you just said.
Wait, I'm not done though. So it's the song. It is the song "Pop Off," and I think it's a brilliant song, and it gets me ready in the morning when I have to get into like interviews, or like I'm going into a meeting, I'm asking for money.
You might as well say "Catch Me Outside" at this point. But, all right, so we're all in the game, and in the game is like sports.
Yeah.
You retire, you have an injury, you might lose passion for it, or at one point God calls you home.
Yeah.
Or whoever your God is.
Right.
You have to define your legacy. What would you want people to remember you for?
There was a speaker earlier today that just talked about like being a person that creates opportunities for others. And I feel that no matter where I've lived, be it Seattle, New York, Bridgeport, Connecticut, LA, and now Charlotte, I think that what I've always done is try to either develop platforms or help to pursue platforms that create opportunities for others. And so for me, specifically now in my work, particularly with The Plug, it is about highlighting the voices of Black founders, particularly in technology. But for me, that's kind of only the beginning of the work. I think what my ultimate goal is being able to connect these sort of, semi-wealthy, on the brink of building wealth folks who may not be founders themselves, but connecting them to people who are starting companies and saying, listen, like we don't necessarily have to go have 200 meetings like Jewel Burks did in order to get funding for Park Pick. You can go right down, the street to your neighbor who might be a dentist who has an extra, $10,000 to invest that year.
And shout out to Jules for that endurance to do what she did. 200
meetings, man, listen.
Yeah.
So I think my legacy is really about, kind of closing some of these gaps.
Okay. I always put people on the hot seat, so I give them one chance to turn the seat around. So if you had to ask me a question or one thought that you want to know about me or something you want to know from me, what would it be?
I want to know, okay, so you work in this space. I want to know, what do you feel like is missing. I think we have all these great tech events. We have a lot of this great synergy around, Blacks in tech and what have you. And I think that sometimes some of the conversations can get redundant, or we're just talking about talking. Like, what do you think is really going to be that key driver for us to kind of be able to come back to something like this and say, okay, so this is what we've accomplished?
It's probably way out of line to make it happen, but I would say broader conversation on failures. And in these circles, from Black Tech Week to South by Southwest to Black in Tech and Chicago, the circles are pretty much the same. You start seeing the same people.
Yep.
The true game changer to me would be for everybody to pick one project where all egos get pushed aside and we work on that project together.
I love that.
You would run out of ways for people to say no.
Yeah.
So it'd almost be like how Jazzy Jeff put together his album for Chasing Goosebumps. Glenn Lewis sang the whole album, but you had Eric Roberson and other great producers and singers that came in and put the album together, and they were able to produce a full album in a week.
Wow.
So if we had all of the engineers, if we had Leslie Miley, if we had Thomas, if we had John Gazier, if we had all those people to come somewhere for a week and say, this is the album we're gonna work on,
Yeah.
and we chose that as the album, that would be the perfect soundtrack to change
I love
everything.
That is the best response out of all responses.
Thank you
I love
very
it.
much. That's what I would do. So,
Awesome.
how do the people find you on social media besides the people that are already watching us right now?
Well, the people who are on social media are the real ones, so we just want to shout them out. So I am on social media as Sherrell_Dorsey, and then also the plug is _the plug daily, and that's such a great way to stay in touch and to also view some of our content where we are following and tracking entrepreneurs of color that are raising rounds, selling companies, creating drones, all kinds of new technologies, and also helping to predict our future.
Okay. And true traditional form, Digital Grass, we always close out our meetings with one word.
Okay.
So if you could give us one word to close it out.
Diligence.
All right. Hey guys, thank you very much for everything that's going on. We really appreciate you. This is Sherrell Dorsey at Black Tech Week 2017, Black Tech Weekend. We thank you for your time, Sherrell, and we thank you for your success and look forward to having you back.
I appreciate
All
this.
right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.